Do you want to give us some basic background information about yourself? Like your full name, date, and birthplace, parents, siblings, stuff like that. Spouse, children, education.
Name John Otis Rutherford. Uh, went to school, but started out kindergarten in Hickory Flat. Went to elementary school at Old Salem and also Hickory Flat. When they integrated, we had to go to Hickory Flat. Then we moved and went to Blue Mountain. And done 1 year of college at Northeast.
All right. So, if when you grew up during segregation, do you recall any incidents where you recognized a difference in the treatment on racial color?
We basically, before integration, they had started a program where they had got some black children to go to Head Start at Hickory Flat. And I was one of those black children that were chosen to go to Hickory Flat. They had come and talked to my mom and dad, and they'd asked them, would it be feasible and everything? Would it be okay? And they agreed. And the first day was one of the best days a child could ever want or could ever have, playing with white kids. Didn't know any color because we wasn't raised that way. And we all played together. And when it came nap time, we all slept together, slept on little mats. The next day, kids didn't even want to speak to me or say anything to me, just like I had caught the plague overnight. And from then on, we were treated differently. And it was hard for me as being a child, 5 years old, to understand why things like that happened. But as I grew older, I became able to understand hatred is really ridiculous, but it happens. And moved on from it, and I grew from it. Not in a biased way or a hatred kind of way, but it let me know how people treat people. Not all people, but people didn't like me because I was black. And that made it hard for me really to understand because hadn't seen them, I hadn't did anything to any of them. But because I was black, they didn't want to have anything to do with me. But that first day, I was treated just like everybody else. But after that, I don't know what happened. I can only imagine in my mind what happened. But it was a hard pill to swallow. But kept going and then moved on to Old Salem where it was only black children. And black children are no different from white children. Folks still, hatred is hatred. I don't care where it comes from. Hatred is hatred. Then during the integration, we had to go to Hickory Flat. And just because you being black, a lot of white kids didn't like it. And black kids didn't like going there either. But it was something that happened. We had to live with it. And a lot of times we would get treated called different names, and it made it just hard and make you wonder why do people have to be so hateful. But hate's been going on for years and years and years and will continue to go on. And wasn't only white hating black, it was black hating white. And for me, it was hard for me to understand how come people just can't be people, love one another and get along with one another. But they did some harsh things, and then when they questioned about them, they wouldn't own up to it. And I always felt like if a man gonna be a man, be a man. Stand up for what you done wrong or what you did right.
Well, so how long were you, like, how old were you during the segregation, and then when did the integration occur for you?
Ooh, oh, it had been so many years ago. It was back in the 60s, and I was young, but I can remember it just like it was yesterday almost. There's so much hatred going on. A lot of. Now, I had some white friends that were best of friends. I had one guy, no matter what, he was he was a white guy. His name was Perry King. He was one of the best friends I ever had, and he was white. And another good friend was David Mills. But for the most part, most people, the other white race didn't want us at Hickory Flat. Most people of the black race didn't want to be there. And in a way, it was kind of a hard pill to swallow, where the government had to step in and make you try to get along with one another. And that's something that should be, we all say we have love and compassion, but do we really know what love and compassion is?
So, do you did you have any key figures in your life, or articles, magazines, posters that made you change your thought about the race relations of how racial equality should be, and how people showed it and displayed it?
Well, my mother, she played a, her, my dad played a big part in that because we were never taught that. We was always taught that people were people. And it was some bad white people, and it was some bad black people, some bad Indians. No matter who they were, there was some bad and there was some good. And that's how we were brought up. We were brought up to show love and compassion towards one another. And that's what it was all about. And that's the way I thought the world should have been. But everything is not that simple.
So, when you attended Hickory Flat before the integration, would you prefer that, or did you prefer it being integrated?
It was a great learning experience for me because I had one teacher that really stood out in my mind and really stood out in my heart. Her name was Catherine Crawford, and she played a big important part of helping me to recognize that black people contribute a whole lot in this world today. A lot of times we didn't get the recognition for doing what we did. George Washington Carver. She gave me a book on George Washington Carver and had me to read it. And I was really enthused with the things that he done back then. Henry Ford had offered him a job working for Ford Motor Company, and that really impressed me. Hearing and reading about some of the things that he had done with the peanut, the potato, crop rotation, all different like things that places that a black man thought of. And so that inspired me, and she was one of my big inspirations.
So to wrap this all up, if did you experience or happen to witness any violence happening between black people and white people about racial equality?
Oh Lord, there were basically fights going on in the school because white people didn't want black people there. And one day, even myself, some guys tried to jump me, and here I am, not